Welcome to BUNIYAAD podcast by Dr. Monica Nagpal. We did not inherit this world like this. Then how can we give this to our next generation in this form? We need to reflect mindfully on our core values and make conscious efforts towards protecting the planet and also achieve all sustainable development goals. With BUNIYAAD, I, Monica Nagpal, will bring to fore sustainability champions who are striving to bring back harmony with the nature and also dignity of each life. Namaskar दोस्तों. Today again I am here with yet another episode of BUNIYAAD, laying the foundation of sustainable living. And today we are doing something different. We have Dr. Prachi Jain, and she will be able to give us insights into a different domain of sustainability. Welcome, Dr. Prachi.
Namaste. Good afternoon, everyone.
So, Dr. Prachi Jain is a corporate solution, founder of Corporate Solutions. And what does that mean? How does this come into sustainability? All that we will unfold as we speak further. Before that, I will request Dr. Prachi to please introduce yourself.
Okay, namaste, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good evening to the people who are at the other spectrums, other time zones. Good morning to the other people as well. So I am Dr. Prachi Jain, a founder, Climate Corporate Solutions, a legal strategist, and a sustainable consultant who primarily aims to provide solutions to the people, organization, vis-a-vis their problems regarding sustainability, embracing sustainability, and how can they take care of the legal aspects when they are converting from a normal organization to a sustainable, more environmental friendly organization. So we basically provide all kind of information, hand holding, head holding regarding the licensing that is required for sustainability, legal advice in terms of sustainability, and also taking care of their entire supply chain regarding sustainability.
Awesome, awesome. So this was something different that I found out when I was checking on her profile, that we were talking about sustainability, and for the young generation, sustainability, as soon as we say it, is all about climate change. But what all goes into the background? How can we have policies? What all the governance is required? And the CSR activities which a lot of companies are doing, how they have to go about it, all that is taken care of by Dr. Prachi. So going further, this is a different kind of a field, and I'm sure it does just happen like that. There must be a reason, and this must be a kind of a path which she followed because of some reason. So I will ask again Dr. Prachi to please tell, how did she stumble upon sustainability?
This came across to me when I was doing my MBA in 2004. Basic concepts everybody were aware of, but unfortunately, what I realized was nobody actually knew what the definition is all about. Each person a new definition. So when there is a new definition, you cannot have a 1000 definition for one single concept. I started understanding about it, learning about it, but unfortunately, there was not much of literature available back in 2000s, early 2000s. So I started off with my career in with the startups. Many startups I worked with. What I realized was they wanted to embrace sustainability, but unfortunately, they were not aware as to how,
Yeah.
what, why. All these questions were there in their minds, and henceforth came into my mind. So, to begin with, what my perspective was to understand what this all means. I have to admit there was not much of literature back then. So, whatever was available, we were banking upon them. Thankfully, then came 2015, wherein Paris Agreement came into the picture, and climate change, sustainability, SDGs were given a very huge importance. They were given
Absolutely.
a framework which we all today follow.
Correct.
After 2015 Paris Agreement, there came a huge amount of literature, which was actually a dearth of. There was a dearth of the same. So, with the literature came upon the understanding of the entire concept. What does it mean? Why is it happening? Of course, we all humans are responsible for the same, but why humans are responsible? There is a why behind everything. So
Correct.
why is it that humans are responsible, and what is that humans can do to restore it? Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
we have reached a stage wherein what we can do has surpassed to the things that this is need to be done now.
Hmm.
Uh, so there is a lot of change vis-a-vis 2015 to 2024, now 2025 very soon. So keeping all that in mind, I started off with the literature, and I read and read. But then again, there were not much opportunities about it.
Hmm.
Uh, as you might understand, that then came the mid-age kind of career growth, wherein you understand, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? So all of that started come into my mind, and it was all bothering me. So I have to admit, it all started off again on a cup of coffee when I was on a date with my ex-boyfriend, who actually forced me into this area, stating, why don't you do this something onto it? You read about it a lot, you talk
Hmm.
about it a lot, you're so passionate about it, you want to do something about it. So I have to thank Sandeep about it. And then it was restarting up with the phase wherein I reread and I applied for my PhD.
Okay. Wow. Hmm.
That is when I applied for my PhD, and then I shifted to Switzerland, worked for my PhD, studied there, came back to India for the data collection, and then processed my report, and then went back to give them the final dissertation. That is, I have recently finished with my PhDs, but it was then lockdown was a blessing in disguise to me, wherein I was doing all my work, all my PhDs, all my courses, which I generally tell the people in today's world to please study and read and go through them, so that you get a fair iota of what it is all about. So it has
Absolutely.
been a very long journey since 2004 to 2024 that I've been embracing this particular field, and I hope I can do something about it from now on.
Absolutely. So 20 years, 2 decades of being with sustainability and bringing out so much out of it. Like now people are starting off with so much, bringing out sustainable products and so much, but then there is no theory most of the time behind. They are
Yeah.
bringing out some product because it is now in the market. It's become a niche. Sustainability has actually become a niche for so many people that if you put sustainability, if you put green in front of that, it sells more. And even
It
the
has become some
companies,
fancy preposition in today's time. It is very
absolutely
fancy
very
and
fancy.
fashionable to say that I'm doing sustainable products.
Correct, correct. And other day I was talking to one of my cousins, and he was also saying that uh, more the companies also nowadays are putting in their profile green. Whatever they're doing or not doing, just by putting green, their shares
Mm.
will just go up
Yeah.
because they are more green, or they'll just add sustainability there. So all that is happening, but here is a woman who is actually going deep into it and guiding people through it. So that is where I really appreciate that she was able to take up this, not in a very superfluous way on the upper part, but when deep inside. She has now about 2 decades of experience into it, and I will now ask, what is the kind of impact is she creating in a more detailed way?
Okay, the biggest impact that I am trying to bring in or to put in perspective is to create that kind of awareness regarding sustainability. As you just mentioned, that people are finding it interesting to put green into it. But by mere adding green to your product or a process, it does not become green. It has a lot of factors, perspectives, parameters involved within it to become green. How do we do that? Is to create a supply chain, first of all, which is
Hmm.
green in itself, which is a very, very lengthy and a tedious process,
Hmm.
because there is not much of a mindset that is working in favor of sustainability. People are always like, what is there in for me? Why should
Hmm.
I be embracing it? Just because there are no laws about it, or
Hmm.
if at all there are laws that are not being implemented very forcefully or robustly, whatever you want to say, it is people are not embracing it. That's the
Hmm.
problem with this.
Hmm.
So everybody wants to talk about, no, I don't want to do it because it is not required. And as and when there is some kind of legal repercussion that is coming into picture, they are like, ठीक है कुछ दे लेके कर लेंगे. That's a
Correct.
very general kind of thought that comes into the
Correct.
mind. So that is the first thing that I want to do, is to create awareness.
Hmm.
That embracing sustainability is not a one-day job. It is
Hmm.
a lifelong process, because if you start embracing sustainability, First of all, it will start up with your mindset that your
Mm.
mind needs to change, and it has to accept that I have to change. Because
Correct.
we say we want to change, but embracing that change is the most toughest part of the
Mm.
entire process. So
And
first, yeah,
sustaining the sustainability process is the most important thing, I feel.
of the entire process. Why? Uh, I can give you a couple of examples without naming the people. They are highly intellectual people sitting at some of the very higher organizations and various platforms. But what they say is, ठीक है, अभी हमारी country में ऐसा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, जब होगा तब सोचेंगे. This is the
Correct.
very common answer that I get. So
Correct.
this is something that I want to change, and I want to tell the world, no, this
Mm.
cannot happen like this. Embracing sustainability will come with the fact that you need to start the process with your mind,
Mm.
put it in black and white on paper as to how do you want to roadmap it or frame it in terms of 6 months, 1 year, 2.5 years, 5 years,
Correct.
10 years, long term goals. And then finally, how would you communicate it to the people who are sitting with you?
Correct.
Which means the entire boardroom,
Yeah.
so to say, or your
Yes.
employees, or your suppliers, vendors. So this is the first step, which itself is a very lengthy process, and it takes almost years to bring that into a consensus wherein everyone says, okay, we are ready for it. So that's
Correct.
the process. Once you are able to do it, then everything is a very streamlined,
Mm.
structured thing wherein you have a very structured kind of way or method to do, bring in the licensing in your
Mm.
organization, which actually states that you are green in terms
Mm.
of your process, in terms of your people management, in terms of your supply chain.
Mm.
That is how you all do it. Once you are ready with this, rest changes. It's all very easy. So first step is the hardest, and I'm doing the hardest part, making awareness.
Yes. And how are you helping the companies as a founder of climate solutions, corporate
See,
solutions?
I
That how are you
work
helping the companies? What is your way of helping them to find
I
solutions to
provide them
climate?
with the consultation activities, advisors, advisory boards. I'm a lot advisory boards of a lot of organizations, wherein as an independent advisor, I can guide them as to if you're doing this process, this is the way to do it, a particular way of doing it, and this is how you can embrace the same.
Hmm.
So it depends upon understanding the working style of the organization to begin with. Once that is done, you need to figure out how far your sustainability goals and their profitability goals can amalgamate, and where are the discrepancies which needs to be taken care of.
Hmm.
So it involves a lot of aspects to be taken care of. The most important of them is the legal aspect, because
Hmm.
there are legal repercussions to it. NGT is very, very active in today's time. They want to understand how companies are taking care of their emissions. What kind of carbon credits are they talking about?
Hmm.
Are they leveraging upon it? Are they really working about it? Do they want to take a note of to what kind of percentages of emissions the particular organization is doing? And if at all it is going way beyond the approved levels, they are fining. A lot of fines are happening in modern days. So
Hmm.
all of these things have to be taken care.
Correct. So there are companies who are exceeding the appropriate carbon emissions.
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them. Okay. So how do you think that your expertise will help them to reduce that carbon emission? And how do you think you are going to help them basis the policy kinds? You will be making them aware more of the kind of the policies that there prevalent in the place, so that they adhere to those policies and they don't face all the repercussions which they may face because of the excess emissions.
See, again, it starts with creating that kind of awareness within an organization. There
Hmm.
are laws, there are rules to be followed. A
Hmm.
lot of organizations at the first place are not even aware of whether there are any kind of rules or not. So to
Hmm.
begin with is to tell them as to these are the rules which are available. Oh, there are these kind of licenses which are available both at the national level and at the international levels, which you can comply with, and you can call yourself a green organization. Of course, acquiring those licensing is a tedious task. Again, it is
Hmm.
expensive also, I have to admit, and it is a regular what do you say renewal of those licensing also happens. But it is just like the way any other licensing that you would be doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Keeping all that in mind, that is the first step. That is to give them that kind of awareness that you need to understand that your organization needs this kind of XYZ working style, supply chain, license to be called as a green organization. Just
Hmm.
by writing green wouldn't make you green.
Absolutely. And also, how do they benefit out of it? Like, okay,
Yeah.
because they have to put a lot of expenses, and then they, if how they will cut on their profit margin probably. But in the long run, how do
Yes.
we benefit out of all of these?
See, in the short run, of course, it is expensive. I have to agree to it. Like acquiring a license, it's not an easy, but it is not about just a sustainable or a green license. You can acquire any other license. If you are asking for an export license, it requires equal amount of fees to be done, to be
Hmm.
acquired. Even if we acquire a passport or a visa, we have to give that the fees. So if you're okay with providing a 1 lakh rupee of fees for some kind of visa, why cannot you comply with fees which is okay for a sustainable organization, which will give you profits in the longer runs?
Hmm. Right. So how do you feel that a company which is complying to the sustainability aspects vis-a-vis a company which is not complying to those, how are they going to fare in the long run? Like, is the government coming up with certain rules and regulations? The export market is coming with some rules and regulation which will kind of have a discrimination between or will give favor to the people who are into the green ones.
Okay, I'll give you a very small example. You must be knowing that there are toiletries that are organic in nature. You must have
Yeah.
used them also.
Yes.
So these
Yes.
are organizations which are based in some parts of the country, mostly the southern parts of the country. So these are the companies which are having an edge over the other organization. How? They're already producing products which are made out of a sustainable product, something like bamboo.
Yes.
Bamboo is available in abundance, first of all. Secondly, their supply chain is extremely green. I cannot name the organization, but their supply chain is extremely green. They are enjoying the subsidies from the from the governments also. Local
Mm,
governments are supporting them. Then there are NGOs which are supporting them. They are being promoted at the various levels. If you know the seven-star hotels in the country, they are all embracing those bamboo products vis-a-vis the other products that are plastic in nature. So this is
mm,
just a very tiny example of the kind of magnitude of work that the organization can do.
right,
Simple embracing a bamboo stick for a toiletry product
right.
can give you a business for years together. I mean, this organization that I'm talking about is doing business with the seven-star hotel from last 17 years, one
Oh
seven.
my God.
And
So that they had come up with that idea that long back.
back. I was in Bombay. I was using them in 16, 17 years back when I first went to Bombay. So it is still there. From there till today, they're still doing the same thing and they're still being promoted by those 5 7 star hotels. The
Wow.
idea is not to give them that this is they're promoting it 7 stars. No. The idea is to tell as to you can get business. Of course, it is going to take some time. I
Right.
agree to it. Since it is a new concept, it will take time, but
Mm,
anything which is new or anything which you start as an innovation is always being laughed upon first and then being taken care of, then being taken very seriously. Let's talk about rocket. When
yeah.
President Kalam was taking it in on a bicycle, everybody laughed upon.
Right.
Today, he's an icon, both
Yeah.
nationally and internationally. So
Absolutely.
that's the kind of work that is needed. You need to have that kind of patience to talk, to get your work being showcased at the various levels.
Absolutely. So it is, I think, the responsibility of the decision makers in the companies who can
Yeah.
have this kind of awareness. Once they have this kind of awareness, that they will, in the long run, be able to be a contributive person towards sustainability. Plus, they will have profits in their that will be beneficial to their own company also in the long run. And especially people who are into export business, world is turning sustainable, and we have to comply to that, and we
Yeah.
have to have products which are going to have, and probably even the export license and all will be have very stringent later when they need all of that, that okay, your company produce so much of carbon, so we are not going to
I
give
can
you
give you an example of this. The Nordic nations that you're aware of, they do not accept products if there is uh, a green license attached to the organization. in whatever format. You can say my product is green, but your product will be green when your supply chain is green, when your process is green. So they favor, or they embrace organizations which are more sustainable in nature. Uh, why? Because these Nordic nations are enjoying forest covers which is more than 80%. And to enjoy a forest cover of more than 80%, you need to have product line which can be biodegradable and which doesn't harm the ecosystem.
Correct.
And only then you can have them. Otherwise, you cannot.
Absolutely.
These are the practices which are being followed in some parts of the world, and they are gradually taking place in other parts also.
Other parts also. One again very basic question, probably because we have been talking about that green supply chain. Uh, Throw some light on that for anybody, a lay person who will be hearing that. That what do you mean by a green supply chain? For example, if a company is producing an attire probably which is made out of recycled
The
products or
tire
something.
industry itself is a very, very polluting industry.
Yes. So
Definitely.
that is why I took that example. So how
Yeah.
will they have a green supply chain
I
then?
will give you an example of a tire industry is itself a polluting industry. They're working about on it, a lot of it. So still there is a long way to achieve on that. But I can give you an example of an industry which already is embracing green. Let me talk about fashion industry. We all know fashion is the one of the biggest polluters in the world. It holds 10% of the global emission levels across the world. So the products like nylon or the synthetics, they pollute the environment like leaps and bounds. They are into landfills everywhere. But there are organizations which are spread across the Europe and the USA, in India also, which are embracing sustainable fabrics. What are those? First example I will give you of an organization in Assam. Now, this lady who works from her home creates a thread which is created out of the stem of rose, right? So this silk thread is created out of the stem of the lotus plant. This extraction of this thread is extremely technical in nature, but she does it at home with complete sustainable machines. They're all handmade machines that she's doing, and this product is being exported to organizations, to manufacturers in USA. Can you imagine the kind of per meter cost this thread enjoys? It is 25,000 rupees per meter of the fabric made out of this thread.
Wow.
Once you create that kind of fabric, 1 meter of that fabric, it is being custom made as per the requirement of the manufacturer and then being exported. Again, the export is being done in an extremely sustainable manner, which is covered in a kela wrap, the kela patta wrap, banana leaf that we call as, and after that, it is being again wrapped with a thread which is biodegradable. So when I say sustainable supply chain, what is she doing? First of all, her machinery, whatever, wherever she's taking, is completely handmade. So this
Correct.
gentleman who's making it is her vendor, but again a green vendor. Secondly, is she's wrapping it in a banana leaf, but she cannot have a raw banana leaf that will get torn away. So she
Correct.
needs to have a banana leaf which is manufactured in a manner that it is biodegradable. Again, a vendor who's doing that banana leaf who's biodegradable. Third, the thread with which he's tying again is biodegradable. So again, a vendor who's doing something biodegradable. So this
Correct.
is where these are the three vendors that she's enjoying. All three of them are doing sustainable product. Henceforth, the supply chain becomes completely green.
Great. Wonderful. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
this
this
is
is
a very
how,
small example I am giving.
correct. Very small example, but very easy to understand. And this is how every company who is taking so many vendors for them, they can have the vendors which are
Yeah.
doing in a sustainable way. Their own production is done in sustainable way because one product needs so many things to assemble and then make a product out of it. So then everything has to be, especially the packaging. Come to
Yes.
if you are sending a green like product in a bubble wrap, you are failing everything.
Yeah. I mean, you take an example of Body Shop. I mean, I'm a big lover of Body Shop products, but look at the way they have created an awareness regarding being green. They ask the people to deliver the empty bottles so that
Hmm.
they can clean it and reuse them. So,
Hmm.
less wastage of the plastic. Then
Hmm.
they are not animal testing their products. They
Hmm.
are taking all the extracts from the plants. The machinery that they are using again is very much sustainable. Of course, there is certain part of it which is not sustainable, but that has to be the way it is. You cannot have the raw extract put in on your face. So they are doing it. Whatever mixers they are using, whatever products they are using, they're all natural herbs, right? And the kind of packaging that they are giving today is completely biodegradable, yet they're asking the customers to deposit back the empty bottles so that they can reuse them.
Right.
So this is another example of having a distribution network wherein it is all green. They don't want their bottles to be thrown away. They want them back so that
Yeah.
they can clean them, sterilize them, and then they can be used again.
Wonderful.
So
Very
this is
nice.
there are multiple examples, but I'm giving very basic examples so that people can understand.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Prachi. And again, coming to now, these are the big things which we know, which now we have given a lot of insights regarding that. But again, coming to the very practical ones, like how do you think that very practically people can do something about sustainability in your field, policy making and all? What is that practically they should understand when they are starting off on a green journey?
See, ask for the facts if you are not aware. That is the first thing. And there is no harm in asking as to what does this mean. When I
Hmm.
started with my career, I had to find out people to ask what does this mean, because everything written on Wikipedia or Google, a lot of words would not be making sense to anybody. So there is no problem asking what does this mean. Ask as to what does this mean. There are experts. I am there. If you want me to be a part of it, I
Yes,
can
yes.
always do that. So first of all, ask what does this mean. Then once you understand what the basic concept is, you can always ask how can I embrace it in my organization, which
Right.
again falls into the category of being aware.
Hmm.
When you say you are being aware about certain thing, it does not mean that by knowing the definition you've done it all. You
Hmm.
need to be aware about the fact that how do I embrace it in my personal space.
Correct.
That will be when you know that this, how will I be using it in my personal space? That would be the actual awareness to the entire process.
Hmm.
So once you know how can I embrace it in my personal space, let's say, for example, there is an organization which is just doing the trading part.
Hmm.
So if and there is no manufacturing involved into it. So
Hmm.
in the trading part, what they can do is they can always create an office which is more sustainable, which is they can go away with a lot of paper, they can
Your
go away with
lights,
printouts,
AC.
go
Yeah.
away with the photocopies, stapler pins. Why do we need that? If everything is digitized, why do we need that? Why do you need an attendance register when you can have a digitized thermal impression? Why
Hmm.
do you need to have what do you say, paper coffee cup when you can have your own reused mugs available? So these are
Correct.
very tiny aspects that you can work on. Why do you need a very an office which is more cabin oriented? Why not an open space of
Hmm.
office? It involves less of board, less of infrastructure, and more of workplace. Of course,
Right.
COVID has given us a perspective which is called as flexi hours, work from home. It's good to do that. Why not?
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
working from cafes, working from co-working spaces. It's all something which embraces sustainability at a much larger level.
Hmm.
Imagine before COVID, each one of us used to go to their offices and there used to be 25 different cars beneath each office. Today, there are only five. Why?
Hmm.
Because half of the staff is working either from office or from some cafe or from some co-working space, which means reducing the emission levels due to transport.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. These
these
small
are very
things really matter. Yeah. All
these
these small things matter.
matter. Why do
Correct.
we need a glass of water, everything wherein you can carry your bottle? I'm carrying my water bottle right now and I can get it refilled from wherever I want to.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
reduces, washing utensils involves huge amount of water. That can
Correct.
reduce considerably.
Correct. Correct.
Why do
Correct.
you want to dry your clothes in a dryer and why can't you sun dry it? These are such small and practical things which once you start embracing in your personal space, half of the job is done.
Absolutely. So it is, as you already said, Dr. Prachi, that when we start with that mindset, no, it is your intention. The
Yeah.
first thing in sustainability is your intention, that are you ready for change or not?
Yes.
First, that intention is important. That is the most practical thing to do. That first create an intention for yourself that on a daily basis, I must say that today I will do this much.
Yeah,
Next day again, get up and say, today I will do so much. And
absolutely.
that will be a really game changer for us, because those habits take a little time, but then we do it every day like an affirmation, that intention will start to multiply, and we will be able to create a lot of green spaces around us, and we will be on the path of a sustainable future. Yes. So one more last question, and it is not a question, it is a request to share a small message for our viewers. Lot of insights you've already given, but still a small message for our viewers.
Uh, See, it is all about your mind, and it is all about how you weave sustainability in your lifestyle.
Hmm.
Weaving sustainability is not difficult. It is very easy. It's just that you need to change your perspective from being not being sustainable to being sustainable. That's the only thing. Once you start thinking I can be sustainable, you will be sustainable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please continue your sustainability journey in a more sustainable way. Let
Thank
it
you.
sustain.
Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Prachi. It was really wonderful to have you here, and you have
Pleasure.
taken time and you have given us a lot of insights, which I'm sure this episode will be a game changer for a lot of people when they will hear about this. So, thank you so much.
Thank you
Namaste.
so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.